You're
Oh my
stupid,
gosh.
bro. You're
I thought she was
stupid.
sitting down, but realized she had no lower body. She only had a
What?
torso and head which was supported from the ground with two arms.
Bro, get out of there.
A flood of thoughts crossed my mind, but
What
I
are you
remember.
What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Mr. President and welcome back for another video of the scary stories. Lately we've been getting a lot of good feedback on that, man, so I just thought I might drop another one. But don't worry, Last of Us is still on the way too. I got y'all, man. I got y'all. So yeah, so where we left off on the scary stories, we finished the whole year of 2019. Now we got to get started on 2018. So I found December of 2018. Without further ado, roll the clip, man. Roll the clip.
I was around 10 years old when this happened.
No title?
Me and my two best friends and our parents were on a long vacation in Turkey in a very good and safe hotel.
I need to re-up on the water, man.
One night, me and my two best friends, who I'll call Tim and Phil for this video, were staying at Tim's room in the hotel while our parents were in the hotel restaurant. The room wasn't bad, actually all of our rooms seemed safe. At least we thought it was. We were having a lot of fun watching Simpsons and playing Monopoly, but what happened that night still makes me have chills.
I love Monopoly.
So it was around 1 a.m. and our parents were late. Phil looked at them through the window and said, "They're still in that stupid restaurant." "Yeah, they told us they'll come back until 11 p.m.
Man, they partying, bro.
Guys? Someone is knocking on the door," Tim said. "It's probably just room service," Phil said.
Who ordered room service, bro?
Can we not open the door?" I said.
Yeah, don't do it.
I was pretty scared in that situation.
They don't have a peephole?
I was only 10, and my friends were only 2 and 3 years older than me. So we were all pretty much defenseless children in the room. Tim, who was the oldest, answered, "Oh, come on, it's just room service." The guy on the other side of the door said,
"Hello. Can you please open the door?"
When he said that, we were all scared. In a couple of minutes of silence, he said in a louder voice,
"Open the goddamn door!"
Oh!
I
You got
started crying
aggressive,
because
bro.
I knew he was in room service, because if he was, he would have talked in Turkish.
Or they would have actually
I
said
was in
room
shock,
service.
as in that moment I realized that this strange guy is using a fake ID card to open the door. Tim grabbed both of us and we ran to the bathroom and locked the door. Luckily, the guy wasn't fast to get us. He was screaming to open the door.
Oh man.
I said, "Look, a phone!" Luckily, Tim's mom left her phone so we could call her if we needed anything. So Phil grabbed the phone and called his dad and told them the situation. And they came up to find the guy nowhere.
You guys saw how he called him
They
smiling?
thought we were lying to them until the hotel manager showed them the footage. We found out that the man was stalking us and a couple other children. In a couple of days, police had finally caught him. He was a serial rapist and a pedophile. We were just lucky he wasn't fast to get us.
Man,
I will never forget that
killed
night,
him, bro.
as that was the worst day of my life.
True creepy attempting kidnapping story. Damn.
When I was 15, my mother went out
That's a
shopping
long
and left
title.
me in charge of the house. It was starting to get dark and I realized my little brother was nowhere to be found. I asked my sister if she knew where he was and she said he had gone to the park around the corner to kick his soccer ball around. I told her to watch the house while I was gone and ran off to the direction of the park. When I got there, I was surprised to find the park completely empty. I called out my brother's name, but there was no answer.
Damn, bro, you lost
I started to get worried, and all of a sudden I heard a faint muffled noise coming from my left. I turned just in time to see a tall figure disappearing behind a large fence. I sprinted as fast as I could. When I came around to the other side of the fence,
You sprinted
I
towards
saw
it?
something that almost made me choke in horror.
Slenderman?
My little brother was being dragged down the alleyway by a
Oh,
tall man.
hell no. Yo, go after
I flew
him,
into
bro.
a rage and tears of anger streamed down my face. I ran at him and he must have heard me coming because he turned around to face me.
Yo, isn't that
Dropped
the
my younger
same
brother.
dude from the first story?
The tall man tried to grab me, but I was running at him so fast that when I slammed into him, it knocked him off his feet. He swore and tried to get back up, but I just started stomping on his face. Without stopping to
Should
ask
have choked
questions,
him out, man.
I picked my brother up and ran as fast as I could back to our house. By this time, it was pitch black outside and my mother was home. She was frantic with worry, and when she saw the look on our face, she realized that something bad had happened. As I
Is he
explained,
alright?
my brother and I started crying, and my mom gave us both the biggest hug ever, and she cried with us. Eventually, the police were called, but this guy was never found.
Yeah, he went to some Turkish hotel afterwards, bro.
This story takes place when I was a junior high school student. One morning during summer vacation, after my father went to work, my mother and I decided to visit my maternal grandmother, who lived in a rural area. Since my grandmother's house was located in the countryside, getting there required making a left turn, then driving for 5 minutes through a narrow, one-car-wide, unpaved road. There were rice fields and forest on
Why
the
would y'all
sides of
even
the
take that
unpaved
turn?
road. As soon as we arrived, I greeted my grandmother, then went into my youngest uncle's room. I used to like
That
visiting
boy.
my grandmother's house because my uncle was a
You already
huge gaming
know,
fan,
man.
and his computer was much better than mine at home.
He's got it bookmarked too,
So once
bro.
I confirmed
y'all know
my
what I'm
uncle was
talking
at
about.
work, I turned on his computer and started playing Doom 3, which used to be the most popular game once upon a time. After playing the game for about an hour or two, my uncle returned from work. Upon his arrival, my grandmother asked him to take her grocery shopping, since my mother, my aunt, and I were visiting her house. So at about 7 p.m., they all drove to town to do some grocery shopping. I was super excited and waved goodbye to them. Since I think it is unnecessary to explain why I was excited, I'll just leave it. After enjoying about 90 minutes of free time, my uncle called. He said he was about to turn left on the road, but one of the front wheels was punctured, and asked me to bring him a new tire which was in the storage shed.
Damn.
As I said before, after making that left
A
turn,
new tire?
it took about 5 minutes to drive through a narrow, unpaved single-lane road
I
to see my
remember.
grandmother's house, but it took
Damn,
about
bro.
20
He
to
doesn't have
30
a
minutes
spare?
on foot. Now that I think about it, it was quite scary to walk on that road, especially at night. It had no streetlights and was surrounded by rice fields and forest. It was almost 9 p.m.
Bro, he
and
could
that
have made
area
it
got
though. If
quite
it's
dark
just
at about
punctured
8 because it was in the
and it's
country.
only a 5-minute drive,
So to be
he could have
honest,
made it.
I was really scared, but not
He
wanting
coulda just
anyone to
got
know
the new
I was a
tire when he
coward,
got home.
I decided to go. I grabbed the tire, left the house, and started walking along the unpaved road. I could see my uncle shining his car's headlights toward me. That said, he was still quite far away from me,
Look, he
and the
wasn't that
headlights
far.
looked like 2 big yellow dots. I was a bit relieved knowing my uncle and family were on the other end of this road, but the night was dark, which deepened my fear. You know, when you walk in the darkness, your eyes adjust, and you start to see unclear shapes. I felt like I could see someone standing in the
Oh my
rice
God.
field,
Yo, you're
and
starting
someone
to scare
sitting
me, bro.
down,
Chill out.
resting his chin on his hands and looking at me through the bushes. I broke out in a cold sweat and held my legs to keep them from shaking. It felt scarier than being alone on a pitch-dark night, and because of the fear and the delusion I had created, I remember feeling really dizzy. After walking for about 20 minutes, I looked towards my uncle's car and realized I was nearly there. Feeling happier, I rolled the tire faster. I rushed to hand over the tire to him as soon as possible, but saw something in front of me. I wasn't sure what it was because it
I
was
can't
still
see it
a bit
either.
away from me, but it was something dark. Suddenly, I felt strange and slowed
What'd
down.
you see?
Since I wanted to determine what it was while still having some distance, I strained my head and neck trying to look carefully, but it was too dark. Although I was scared, I started to walk again, thinking, nothing is
you
going to
still gotta
happen
walk forward,
because
bro.
I have my uncle
Oh,
and
what
family
is that?
about 300 meters away.
Is that an old
But
dude?
when I got closer to it, I stopped because it became clearly visible. It was an old woman squatting with her mouth open,
Yo,
looking
close
at
that
the rice
mouth, baby
fields.
girl.
I could only see the side of her face.
She looked like a
But
zombie,
my
bro.
whole body shivered because her blank facial expression with her mouth open was now clearly visible in the darkness. Without realizing
Why
it,
did
I
you
walked
stop,
really
though?
close to the old woman. For reasons I don't understand, walking by without saying anything seemed even scarier, so I started talking to her.
Oh, you stupid,
With
bro.
a frightened voice, I asked, "Excuse me, what are you doing here at night?" But she did not respond
Just keep
and
going,
kept
bro.
looking
Just
at
keep
the
going.
rice field. On the verge of crying, I shouted, "Excuse
Oh
me!"
my god, man.
She then looked at me, and I felt my heart
That's a
tighten.
zombie, bro. That sounds
Even
exactly
though it
like
was
one
dark,
of those
I could clearly see
creepers from
she
The
had
Last of
permed
Us.
white hair, and I could only see the white parts of her eyes. The scariest thing were the huge wrinkles and stains covering her face and her wide open mouth. I felt strange, like I was going crazy while looking at her.
Oh
I
my
had
god.
eye contact, but was looking down while she was looking up at me. After a few moments of eye contact, she turned her body toward me.
You're
Oh my
stupid,
gosh,
bro. You're
I thought she
stupid.
was sitting down, but realized she had no lower body. She only
What?
had a torso and head which was supported from the ground with two arms.
Bro, get out of there.
A flood of thoughts crossed my mind, but
What
I
are you
remember
doing?
thinking, there is Satan right in front of me. I felt like she was going to run into me with her two arms if I didn't move, so I grabbed the tire
my
in my
God,
arms
finally.
and sprinted with my eyes closed tight.
Bro, you could have been doing that.
Without remembering how long I'd been running, I suddenly felt relieved. It was the next morning, and I was in my grandmother's room. When I asked my mother what happened, she said she was waiting for me in the car and saw me sprinting with my head down, holding the tire in my arms, and suddenly fell off the road, causing
Fell
my
off?
family to come out of the car, shocked. After
After
listening to my mother,
What?
I told her and my other family members
How do you
what I went through.
run? How do you run straight and then
Thinking I had
fall off?
suffered a heat stroke. That evening,
Oh my
my
God.
grandmother made me chicken soup. My uncle told me to stop playing horror games and wouldn't let me play Doom 3 anymore.
Got him. That's what you get
From
for
then
falling
on,
off.
I could only play a Star Wars racing game while staying at my grandmother's house. I still believe it was not a ghost that I saw that day.
That was a zombie,
It
bro.
was just an illusion caused by my mental weakness.
True haunted house horror story animated. Damn. Wansee got
About
lazy
10
with
years
these
ago.
titles, bro.
My 3-year-old son and I moved to a house from our apartment. It was a very old building, and the inside of the house always seemed to be just a little darker and just a little colder than it should have been.
Good.
Not long after we moved in, a friend of mine came to visit.
Hey.
The whole time we were sitting and talking,
Hey,
she
with some
seemed very
wine?
uncomfortable. When I
She
looked at
don't
her
look
face,
uncomfortable.
I noticed that something in the other room had caught her attention. Her eyes grew wide and she said, "I have to go."
Damn.
I asked her what was wrong, but she refused to tell me. Her
Homeboy
odd
was
reaction
trying to
was freaking me out,
smash.
so I kept after her. On her way out the door, she finally blurted out, "This house is haunted."
Damn.
But she wouldn't tell me what it was or
She just
what made
did.
her think so. To this day, she still refuses to tell me what she saw. About a week later, my 3-year-old son casually asked me who the old lady in the bathroom was.
Oh, what?
One day, I was leaving my house for work, and I got to the car and I realized I needed to run back in the house to get something. I walked into the house, and as soon as I got inside, this
Bro,
framed
move.
photo on the
Just
wall
move out of
shot
there,
off
bro.
the wall.
Move out of there. No, no, no,
It
no,
didn't
no.
fall down.
You
It
saw
shot
that thing
horizontally
flew
away
by.
from
What
the
do you
wall,
mean?
and it landed on a mosaic table with enough force to break some of the tiles off of it. I felt like whatever was in the house was pissed, and that I came back in after it thought I had left for the day. After living in the house for about 6 months, I noticed a weird square cut into the boards on the deck. There was no handle, but I was able to pry it up. The hole was just big enough to fit through, and there was a ladder going down.
Go in it.
For some reason, I went down and I found myself in what looked like a homemade basement. It was basically just a room dug out of the earth, with no constructed walls or stone supports or anything like that. It was very dark, but I could see something over in the corner. It was a suspicious looking stone.
Oh, that's a great...
It looked like one of those old headstones you see in cemeteries. Just then, some insects started jumping on me, so I got out of the basement as fast as I could. And
yeah, I can't tell if those were butterflies or bees.
Now this is the part that affected me the most. It's also the reason we left the house. One night I was in bed laying on my stomach just about to fall asleep, and I heard someone walk into my room. The footsteps came from the doorway over to my bed.
Those toes crusty.
I didn't realize until later that the fact that I heard the footsteps was weird because the room was carpeted. When the footsteps reached my bed, I felt someone put their hands on my back. 2 hands, just gently laid flat on my back and kept me there. I assumed it was my son. "What are you doing?" I asked, but there was no answer. I looked up. No one was there.
Dog.
I got up and checked my son's bedroom, and he was in bed fast asleep. We moved out soon after that.
I would have moved out 6 months ago. Hell nah. Alright, boys, we're gonna stop it right there. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. Thank you guys for even clicking on the video. Yeah, another compilation coming soon from the 2018 year. Last of Us also. I haven't slacked on that, bro. We left off at a good part too, bro. So it's coming up as well. Yeah, man, I got a lot of stuff coming up for you guys, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know I tell you guys that every day, but thank you for the 400 subscribers, man. I appreciate it, man. You guys mean a lot to me. But yeah, boys, catch me on The Last of Us, and